Welcome to Module 2. In this module, we're going to springboard off the information in Module 1 around the anatomy of the nervous system and talk more about the patterns that get created in the body. How do they get wired? We left off with an understanding of the autonomic nervous system pieces of sympathetic and parasympathetic. In the sympathetic chain, we have some standard responses that we talked about: the flight, the fight, the freeze, and the fold. And these show up at all levels, whether it's a physical, behavioral, mental response to a circumstance that you're experiencing. And the pattern that was created is likely one to many of these. So if we remember that flight was the leaving, either literally or mentally, but getting the heck out of there, away from the situation that the nervous system is responding to. The fight is around the coming up against the resistance of what's happening. And the nervous system will define how it's going to respond based on what's the safest response. So whether it's a conversation and we're getting a little bit combative and engaging in conversation, or there's an actual physical threat, the fight response is a ready to take action. The freeze response is a holding pattern, a feeling of numbness, a feeling of being blank, and the body just staying put. There's nowhere to flee to. There's no fighting it. So we're going to hold, and the body responds as such. And the last, most intense, is the fold response, where there's a complete collapse or a disengagement. At a physical level, all the energy left the body. We've all had those responses where we literally have nothing available mentally. So we just hold, and we give kind of a giving out feeling behaviorally. So how did those responses get there? Let's talk quickly about what are we talking about when we use the word pattern. So a pattern is repeated, often unconscious way of responding, whether it's a physical response, an emotional response, a mental response, or behavior. It was shaped by an experience we've had and stored in the nervous system as a means of protecting us. So if we were in a threatening situation and we were left to fend for ourselves, the nervous system beautifully created a safety mechanism for us that through time became wired in the body as a way to be efficient. So this shows up as thoughts: self-criticizing, recognize that one? Catastrophizing, looping. It can show up as a behavior, an avoidance behavior, overachieving, and people-pleasing. These are very common behaviors that created safety. If I stay safe, if I keep everyone around me happy, that creates safety. It's predictable. Exhausting, but predictable. Overachieving. If I do good enough, then I deserve and I stay safe in my job, in my family, blah, blah. Emotional responses of shutting down and reacting intensely. Oh, those people that we call angry people, or it's not who they are. It's a response that's wired in the system. We can now be more compassionate. I have so much more compassion for people. Going flat. And then the postures and the tension there is held in the body, the bracing and the collapsing and the shallow breathing. We're going to talk more about where to, how to engage with this and what's going on in the body, and how it gives us these signals to give us more information. These aren't flaws. There's nothing wrong with us. There's nothing to fix. There's nothing to manage. It's an automatic response that we're going to first be aware of. And then the rest is a downhill slide. Well, simple, not easy. So recognizing is the first piece. So we planted some seeds, and I want to invite you into where and how those might be something you recognize in your body. So they begin at a very young age. We have responses to these patterns, and we create them to allow the system to find safety. and it just gets efficient. The nervous system is an intelligent system that can create automatic responses. When we recognize this, we can have so much more empathy for ourselves, compassion for ourselves, and recognize it's not who we are. There's nothing to fix about ourselves or to be ashamed about for ourselves. It's how we adapted, and it's how we stayed safe. What once was protective can be transformed into something that informs us and other people. We can use this wisdom for other things. So let's check in. Why are you here? What attracted you to this particular content? Are you feeling any of these things that are listed here? Is there a sense of overwhelm, depression? Do you have some chronic pain that is just won't give you a break? Ongoing digestive issues, physical symptoms that can't be explained, feelings that you don't have language or know what to do with. Which of these, or how many more? There's so many more that aren't here. But just make a mental note of what is it that attracted your attention. And then check in on your internal state as you name that. And as you make a note of it, your body gives you information. So what is something that you're feeling right now? Where's the tension? Where's the ease? Where's the heaviness? Just starting to check in with where the body is feeling sensation. It's really important. Sensation is the key. And then just recognize where the mind's at. Is it just running, busy? Are you scattered? Or is it just dark? Can't really, no access. And spiritually, are you feeling connected and open? Or are you feeling guarded? Where's everything at for you? It's important to know that the nervous system isn't just shaped by your experience physiologically. There's some biology in there. Every significant experience that we've had, especially in those early years, and high intensity, literally created pathways in your body for efficiency. Get that? So that means it's an automatic response. It's going to hit the subconscious before you have a choice. So we have an event and we have a response right now. Whatever that is, flight, fight, freeze, fold, at any level. As we become aware of these patterns, we can have a response and start to create some space between the response, bringing it up from the subconscious to a conscious. We can create a space. And then we can respond to things. That's the outcome we're looking for. So recognizing that you can't choose it if it's coming in hot, especially really intense things. If it's coming into the subconscious part of us, the body's going to respond. All the muscles, tendons, chemistry, all the functions of the body, we saw it in that nervous system chart, respond to that, and out pops our reaction. So the pathway's there already. And if you can find some compassion for that earlier version of yourself and be grateful, it's really amazing. And it's easy now, once we start to witness and bring it forward from a subconscious to a conscious thought and response, then we make use of this information. So what actually is a threat? Is it really just physical danger? Heck no. Most of what we got ourselves foamed up about is things like being criticized, being ignored, when we're in confrontational situations, or we have some level of conflict, whether it's family or friends or just something happened at the store, when there's uncertainty and change in our environment, that creates a response. Being seen or exposed. Or when people need more from us than we have available to give, we've got to dig deep. And that creates a bit of safety issue for us. So none of these are physically dangerous. But boy, the system responds appropriately to each of them. I want to say it again. These are not character flaws, personality flaws. They're organized responses from the nervous system to create safety. It made sense once. It's amazing. It kept you safe. So logic behind your patterns. There is an intelligence. If I go silent, if I avoid conflict by going silent, that worked at some point. Over-preparing. If I am guilty, if I prepare enough, if I understand all the players, all their needs, and check it off before we even get there, then everything will go well and I'll be safe at all the levels of safety that I need. Going blank under pressure. A lot of folks in the corporate world that are under intense pressure to perform. And going blank is common. It's not brain fog. You don't need to take a bunch of extra supplements. If the nervous system is going to use that as a mechanism, it's going to use it until you help it understand that you unwire that response. And then shutting down when it's just too much. When you get it to an overload, the circuit pops. So old programs and old situation, it's going to run until we update it. So if anger is a trigger for you in any way, when you have anger in your environment, for even reasonable, like we get to be angry, it's going to stay a trigger until we update the nervous system to current time and let it know that in this moment, you have all the resources and capability to respond to the situation that you might not have had originally. So how does it get wired? I'm going to talk a little bit about my experiences. I was the one that overperformed everywhere I went, everywhere. Oh my gosh. Not because I can say I was ambitious, whatever that means to people in the conventional sense. But somewhere early in my life, I realized that if I do enough, things stay okay. And if I didn't, if things aren't okay, I must have not done enough. And so it circles back on it. So when I was in an environment of people that determined whether I was safe or not, my job became reading the room. I had to really understand how people were behaving, responding at every moment. And I got really good at it. Because if I didn't, something bad would happen. And it wasn't a choice as a child. This is the nervous system learning and responding to the circumstances of my life. And so that reinforced everything. Every new environment, we moved a lot. If you watched that first video. So overperforming really became my go-to. Every system that moved the goalposts. So when I put myself out there and really dug into things, I didn't have the credentials yet or the background that they wanted. And they kept moving it. I had to work harder, deliver more. Outstanding results was what was required. And the bar kept moving. I just could not do enough to be successful. And then there's that underlying shame. If I do enough, I will finally deserve to be here, be loved. And that equation just never gets solved. Because no one can scratch the itch. There's nothing outside of us that gives us different information in the nervous system to update that until we update that with our own awareness of the pattern. So no achievement touches it. So this lasted, with all the work that I did, all the going inside, going outside, modalities, all the things, no matter what environment, what role, what person, it continued to run in different ways through my 40s and now my 50s. Same stored responses, read the room, stay ahead, do enough, and prove it. Prove that you deserve this. So exhausting. And no amount of understanding in my head changed how I felt underneath and how I was responding underneath. So when I started to work at the level with this content, that's when I had some really big shifts. So the question isn't whether you have the pattern. It's, does the pattern you currently impact your life right now? With this content, can you identify a pattern that keeps showing up? Not a personality trait or response. Which of the 4, flight, fight, freeze, or fold, show up for you? And at what level? Again, it's not just physical threats. Most people talk about the nervous system as just a physical response. Behaviorally, emotionally, we are responding to those other types of threats that are more subtle. And can you track it back to say, of course you have this pattern. It makes so much sense. It was useful then. And then check in with your body and realize you have everything you need in current time for those same situations should they occur. And you can let that version of you update. And lastly, what does your body do when you have that activation? Do you feel tension, tingling, heat? Ready to go? At any level. Check out, go blank, disassociate. They use that word a lot. Just notice that. Reflect on these experiences. Because the next module we want to share with you the Blue Method and how that methodology, that framework, supports you in unwiring, updating these old patterns. It changes everything. I look forward to sharing Module 3 with you next.